Welcome to the Growing in Business interview series. I'm your host, Flemming Johnson, and today I'm joined by Elizabeth Johnson, who is the co-founder at Namara. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us. Would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate this. I do a lot of different things actually. I'm a nurse by training, and got into the field of allergy and asthma primarily. So I've been a nurse about 15 years and then kind of worked my way from the patient care side to the operations and finance side of healthcare. So not only do I work with NAMAPA, which is a nonprofit foundation, I'm also the CEO of a company called Medico CX. So that's my quote day job, we'll call it. And I work with physicians, a little over 300 providers across the US. Basically, I get to practice what I preach. So, as part of the nonprofit, I do share tips, tools, training, resources for healthcare workers, so that patients can get on medications earlier, hopefully faster, and be able to afford it, right? Copay assistance is huge. But so, with my physician groups that I work with, I get to teach their staff to do the same thing. So, again, putting into motion and into place what I love to teach about.
What are some of the common misconceptions about running a business and how do you address them?
Sure. So even myself, growing up, you see portrayed on TV, the boss, right? They, fancy suit, they're making hard decisions, they're cutting people out left and right. And, you kind of get this hard exterior, kind of thought process of that's what it's like to run a company. And it's really not. It's becoming a people person, not just with listening, but with adapting. And so the challenge that I've always faced, and I always challenge myself further to grow, is how can I work best with a multitude of different people, to where, they feel supported, they feel encouraged. But at the same time, I'm sharing the knowledge that I have and the experience I've gained because, they're going to replace me eventually. So let's make sure they're up and trained. And then being able to communicate that out because then who's going to replace them? So you've got to have this kind of legacy pass down, that, makes the most sense and is encouraging to those that are going to come and do the same job you're doing.
How do you maintain work-life balance as a business owner? Do you have any personal rituals or habits that keep you motivated and focused?
I really want to make a joke of like there's a thing called work-life balance, but that's not helpful in the situation. And it is something that I, in full disclosure, need to be better at. Right now, I have kids. I have, I think, a social life. So I do like to be with people I care about. I love my job. I love what I do. I can tell you that all day long. And so for me, that work-life balance hasn't historically existed because I'll just work whenever, right? Answering a phone call or shooting back a reply on an email isn't a burden to me and it isn't a hassle. It's just what I do. So establishing an identity outside of that has been really important for me, right? So while yes, I'm a nurse and I know enough about healthcare to be dangerous here, I also really love reading. So really leaning into kind of the social movement around reading. I love history, so taking little fun free online classes for history, things that will spark my creativity. So the balance part, I don't know if it counts yet or if I can really say that. But finding things that make me tick, yes, I'm working on that.
In the constantly evolving business landscape, how do you stay adaptable and open to change? Are there any specific strategies that you use to remain innovative?
Well, I think if you don't understand what AI is at this point, you're going to struggle no matter what industry that you're in. And so embracing change, right? If you're afraid of change, then you're going to have all these, issues and hiccups. You've got to embrace it for the good and the bad. And I will think, when I say AI, that's the buzzword everybody's talking about now. And so it's using it, it's implementing it into your workflow, into your style. And it may not be something you use all day every day, but getting in there and understanding it, right? And not having a negative outlook on like, oh, this is going to take jobs away or this is going to change things. It will. Change again isn't scary. So in any sense of business, anything that I do, I look for what's coming down the pipeline, tools and resources that are out there. And instead of being fearful or instead of being hesitant, I just lean into it and just say, okay, like let's try to make this work. And has that burned me in the past? Sure. I've probably spent time on things that I didn't need to. No one wants to be, a mile wide and an inch deep, but I've learned something from it. I've learned how to narrow my scope of what I look for. So take it all with a little bit of a grain of salt there, but if you can find the positive in it, again, embrace the change, look towards development. And again, if something doesn't work, go on to the next.
Excellent. Could you offer now a glimpse into your future plans and goals for your business? What do you envision for the next chapter of your entrepreneurial journey?
Sure. From a nonprofit standpoint, there's a lot of things, right? The goal is to grow and the goal is to get the information out there. What I'm not really great at and I'm having to learn a lot about is fundraising, and expansion through financial means. So sales isn't my thing, but in a way, you have to learn to be about sales and learn to bring that in. So obviously, it's awareness, right? Embracing social media, really pushing that out there to get in front of healthcare workers and patients. From the other entities that I work with, and from Medico, for example, obviously everyone can say growth. I said it already. But it's also finding something that makes us different from the competition that's out there. I don't want to, be competitive where I'm trying to take somebody down, but I want to offer something and have something that is unique to us. So we have a differentiator. We can elaborate on it, explain about it, and build our services around that. So for me, it's a lot of uh, being current and being relevant, but having that one special thing, that one spark, that makes it different. And then from there, I think it's every entrepreneur's dream, right? Build, sell, and then do it all over again.
What advice would you offer to an aspiring entrepreneur who is, say, just starting their journey or facing challenges in their businesses?
Don't watch any TV show that talks about being an entrepreneur because it's going to make you feel like that you either have to starve yourself, be broke, or it's just a grind that never ends, which that isn't exactly untrue. But what, you know, people who start an entrepreneurial journey usually have a passion or have a reason for it, right? And it's understanding the why behind your passion or behind your reason. So if you've got a great idea, if you've got a great product, if you got a service that's going to change the way people do whatever it is that service does, not just be passionate about it, but understand why you are. Did it have personal implications? Did it work with your family? Is this serving a demographic that never had this before? Right? Find your why, harness your why so that when you are having to do things that are uncomfortable, like me, when you're raising money for a round, or if you're having to sell, right? You're not just getting through it. You're not just rolling up your sleeves to do the work. You truly are believing in what you're doing and you've got your passionate point, times 10. So entrepreneurial, everyone kind of today is like, oh, social media, let's be entrepreneurs. It's more than that. You got to have a why.
Thank you so much for your time today, Elizabeth. It was great meeting you and learning more about your entrepreneurial journey. And to everyone watching, I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.